Okay, today we are talking about adding and subtraction fractions. So we have like fractions and unlike fractions. Like fractions have common denominators and unlike fractions have different denominators. So in order to add and subtract fractions, what do we have to have? The same denominators. But as long as we have the same denominators, we can just add across the top or subtract across the top. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So if we were to have this example here, 3/8 plus 2/8, that answer would be 5/8. Just add those top numbers together. That should be on the back of your page as your first example. The next one is 5 over 8x plus 1 over 8x. Even though there's a variable there, those denominators are the same. So we can just add together those top numbers. And what is our answer? 6 over 8x. But then we can say, is 6 over 8 in lowest terms? No. What can we take out of both a 6 and an 8? A 2. So we can divide both of those by 2. Even though that variable is in there, we still have to have lowest terms. So if we were to divide both of those by 2, we would end up with what? 3 over 4x. Our final example has 3 that we're adding together. Again, even though there's 3 terms there, we have to make sure we have that common denominator. Right now they give that to us, so it's nice and simple. We can just add all 3 of those numbers together. When we add them together, what do you end up with? Do what? 12 over. Can that reduce? Yes, that is an improper fraction. 8 will go into 12 how many times? 1 time, with how many left over? 4. So we would have 1 and 4/8, and then we could reduce that 4/8 down even farther. So we would end up with 1 1/2. That's going to be the trickiest thing about today's assignment, is making sure you get those reduced to lowest terms. So, same thing when we subtract. We have to have that common denominator on the bottom, and then we can just subtract straight across the top. If I were to subtract this, what would I end up with? 7/9. Can that be reduced? Cannot, so that is in lowest terms. Next, I have 7 minus 7/8 minus 5/8. 2/8. Can that be reduced? Absolutely. Once I reduce that, it becomes 1/4. The next one is a negative number plus a positive number. When I have a negative number plus a positive number, what do I end up doing to those two numbers? Subtract. If one is negative and one is positive, we subtract those values. So what is 11 minus 6? 5. denominator stays the same. Is my answer a positive 5/8 or a negative 5/8? Negative, because the 11 is bigger, so it is a negative 5/8. Here I have 3x over 4 minus 7 over 4. Subtract those straight across. Are 3x and 7 like terms? Can I combine those? I cannot. My 3x has to stay separate from my 7. So I end up with 3x minus 7, and that's just how I have to leave it. I cannot combine those because they are not like terms. I put that over 4.
So you can't
Cannot work it out any farther than that. If one of those numbers or both of those numbers could reduce by 4, then I could make it in lowest terms, but neither one of those can reduce. So we have to just keep them separate. Okay, then there will be several of these on your homework, maybe not today, but definitely tomorrow, where we find perimeter. In order to find the perimeter of something, what do I have to do? Add all the sides together. Is it any different when they're fractions? Same rules for adding fractions that we've been doing. So what we have here is 5/12 and 7/12. The important thing to remember when I'm adding a perimeter is that this side up here, come on, let me write, is also 7/12, and this side is also 5/12. So we have to make sure we get all 4 sides in there, even though they just give us 2 numbers. Okay? Add those all together. 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 7 gives me what? 24. When I have 24 over 12, will that reduce? It will, to the whole number 2. Then we also have some recipes here. A recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar and 2/3 of a cup of white sugar. How much sugar is there in total? In total means we're doing what? We're going to add these 2 fractions together. 1/3 plus 2/3 is how much? 3 over 3, which reduces down to 1. So we need to talk about the fact that at some point in time, like on Wednesday, we're going to need to be able to find the common denominator. Today's assignment will be super easy. They give you the common denominators on all the fractions. But we're working up to finding that common denominator. So in order to do that, they give you 2 ways to find a common denominator. Both of these are listed on the front of your notes. The first way is to list multiples. For example, if you have a 9 and a 12, they say start with the largest one, 12. List its multiples until you find one that 9 will divide into. So 12 times 1 is 12. 9 will not divide into that. 12 times 2 is 24. 9 will not divide into that. 12 times 3 is 36. 9 will divide into that 4 times. So we know that would be our common denominator then. 36 would be our common denominator for these 2 numbers. The other way to do it is to write that prime factorization that we worked on before Thanksgiving, where we break it down. And then we find, after you find the prime factorization, okay, we see what they have in common. All right? Then we take those numbers. So like this one, it says we're going to take the largest number of factors. This one has 3 2s. This one has 2 3s. And this one has 1 5. And we're going to multiply all of those together. We do not multiply these 2s and 3s because 72 already includes those. They kind of cancel out. This one cancels out this one. This one cancels out this one. This one cancels out this one.